Hi, this is Cheryl Hirsch with Hirsch Parent Coaching. How is everyone today? I have a really meaty topic that I want to talk about. I just was listening to a webinar with Rosalind Weissman, who wrote Queen Bees and Wannabes, and she has created an organization called Cultures of Respect, and they have been doing a number of webinars, although I heard her interviewed in another venue. And she focuses on children's privacy, dignity, and creating a world of respect. And I really encourage you to go to her website. There's a lot of really wonderful things there. So during this interview, it really got me thinking, because I've heard her a couple of times and I'm familiar with her books, and wanted to share some of that information, and I hope I can do it in an organized fashion. So today it's going to be about treating our children with dignity, and I'll explain that in a moment, but also allowing them privacy online and what that means. So I was trying to think what would be my tool. So my tool today is number 18, and it's create a trust state, not a police state. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to give you an example. I know a family, and this was a few years ago, who are wonderful, wonderful people. I always like to preface it with that. And they have got 1,000 friends on Facebook, and they shared a very, very private story about their child. And I saw it and was mortified. Not for me, but I kept thinking, well, how is this child going to react? And even if they're okay with it now, are they going to be okay with it in 5 years, 10 years? And again, I know now something very personal about this child. And it made me very uncomfortable for the child. And I thought, and I still remember it, so I'm still talking about it. So that says something. It's really stuck with me. So I couldn't decide whether or not to say something. And eventually I did. And in a kind way. This was really all out of kindness. And I just said, they said, well, he kind of laughed about it. And I said, well, is he going to laugh about it in 2 years, 5 years? And again, is that something that he's really comfortable with, or just trying to go along with all of you? So when we, with families, I think I didn't do this, and I wish I would have, really share what our family's values are. And I talk about this a lot. What is, to think it through as parents, what is really important to you, and what are things that you want to teach your children? Because I think we really have to be intentional about it. And I know, I believe I've talked about this before. So when we're talking about online behavior, we really need to think about what we're modeling. Are we modeling appropriate behavior online, and are our children learning from us, and what we're teaching them through our own behavior, which I've talked about as well, but also the role of privacy and what we post on Facebook about our children, or tell even our friends, thinking about asking them their permission. Is this okay if I post this picture? Is it okay if I tell this story? Because in today's world, it's really hard for our children and our families to have the amount of privacy that we used to have and assumed that we would have. So I know I've had a picture posted of me that I didn't feel comfortable with, and I felt like it was an invasion of privacy. So what do we want to teach our children? So Rosalind Weissman, I want to backtrack a little bit, talks about the difference between respect and dignity. And respect is something that we typically earn. However, people can be in a respected position but not act in a respectful manner. And for kids, they often feel that they are imposed upon to respect people that they may not, and maybe they shouldn't. And of course, they need to respect their parents. But there are others that maybe do not behave accordingly, and because they're in a position of authority or a position of respect, we or children will feel that they are imposed to respect these individuals. So she defines dignity is, and I actually wrote this down, I want to get it incorrectly, is to be worthy, and that we are all worthy. And so we're all equal, we're all worthy, that is a given and absolute. And so because of this, there's a distinction between respect and dignity, where respect should be earned and not imposed upon. And sometimes those people in respected positions don't treat others with dignity. And that's what we need to work on. She calls today's world a storm of disrespect. which I think we're all feeling right now, or I would think most of us are. I don't want to assume. So thinking about that culture of dignity and what we do online, and how we treat our children. I want to give another example. I am on some parenting Facebook groups, and there was a whole stream of posts where a parent had asked, I have a security system where my kids are not able to do certain things, and they're monitoring all their activity, and the kids keep working around these barriers, the security system, which of course kids are going to do. And I just really had a reaction to that. People were saying, I use this system, I use this one, I use this company, da 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 da. And I thought, what happened to trust and having conversations with our children? And I just put in there, well, why don't you just have a discussion and come up with a contract that you all agree on and include the consequences for. So I felt like, that's why I said a police state, that parents are trying to police their children online, and it's impossible to do. And wouldn't you rather share with your children what your values are and why you feel that way, and how, whether we're online or in person, that we want to emulate those values and uphold those values. She said, and this is not me, this is Rosalind Wiseman, our entertainment should not be someone else's embarrassment. And I think that is something we should all live by as well. How powerful is that, and how simple, but how true about what we post online and what we share about others. So one more story that I just want to share, because she talked about this as well, and I know this is a little scattered because it's a really meaty topic. I, was ahead of school, and I taught a class called Counsel, and I was with a group of kids, 6th graders, and they were big gamers. And we were talking about in my class about being respectful, character, how we interact online, all sorts of different topics that are important for us to teach children. And they were saying, like, they are exposed to all sorts of things, misogyny, racism, anti-Semitism, and they went, oh yeah, it's there. So, Rosalind Wiseman talks about this, and I totally agree. Let's have the conversations before it happens, and not wait until a child gets into trouble, or you're having, they see something that they're uncomfortable with. Talk about it, be proactive. Talk about it in advance, and what we do and why these things are not okay. And when we're gaming, when we see these things, how do we respond? What are your values? What does the family think about these things? So again, I know there's a lot here, but I want you to think about, and what I want you to get from this is, I want you to think about developing a trusting relationship with your child, one of respect, true respect, and dignity. And how do you develop that culture in your family so that you're not having to police and not having to punish and react to things that have happened, instead of being proactive and creating that relationship with your children? Whether it's you posting online about them and maybe disregarding their privacy, but also teaching them how you want them to be online. So I know that was a little bit of a roundabout to get to my message, but I hope it was helpful to you. My call to action is really to visit Cultures of Dignity website. They do some wonderful things, and they have these tiny guides, yes, that are for purchase, but they're really great. I purchased a few. I didn't get all of them, but some really good information there. Or read her books. I just highly, highly respect her work. So thank you. I hope everyone's well. And again, this is Cheryl with Hirsch Parent Coaching. Bye-bye.